You think about them constantly. You replay every conversation. You analyze every text. You cannot eat. You cannot sleep. You cannot focus on anything else. This is not love. This is limerence, and it is destroying your ability to build a real life. In this 10-minute motivational video, we explored the psychology of limerence, the obsessive state of romantic infatuation first identified by psychologist Dorothy Tennov. You will learn why your brain treats limerence like an addiction, how to distinguish between healthy love and obsessive fixation, and most importantly, how to break free so you can redirect that energy toward building yourself instead of chasing someone who will never fill the void. This is a voice-only experience. No images, no distractions, just a blue neon waveform on black and a quiet conversation about the difference between love and obsession. Subscribe if you want to understand the machinery behind your own mind, because knowing how the machine works is useless if you never pull the lever. Topics covered. What is limerence and how it differs from love? The psychology of intrusive thoughts and obsessive fixation. Why your brain treats limerence like an addiction. The role of uncertainty and intermittent reinforcement. How to distinguish between healthy attachment and limerence. Practical steps to break the limerence cycle. How to redirect obsessive energy towards self-improvement. Script for 10 minutes. There's a word you have probably never heard, but once you learn it, you will see it everywhere. You will recognize it in your own past. You might even recognize it in your present. The word is limerence. Subscribe if you want to understand the machinery behind your own mind, because knowing how the machine works is useless if you never pull the lever. Limerence was first identified by psychologist Dorothy Tennov in the 1970s. She interviewed hundreds of people about their experiences of romantic love, and she discovered something surprising. Many of them were not describing love at all. They were describing something else, something more like an obsession, a fixation, an addiction. She called this state limerence, and here's how she defined it. Limerence is an involuntary state of obsessive thinking about another person. It is characterized by intrusive thoughts. You cannot stop thinking about them. It is characterized by emotional dependence. Your mood rises and falls based on their attention or lack of attention. It is characterized by fear of rejection. Every interaction feels like a test. It is characterized by idealization. You see no flaws in the person, only potential. And it is characterized by extreme shyness or awkwardness when you are around them. You cannot be yourself. You are too busy performing. Sound familiar? For many people, limerence has been the dominant experience of what they called love. They thought the obsession meant passion. They thought the inability to eat or sleep meant deep feeling. They thought the constant thinking meant connection. But it was not love. It was limerence. And limerence is not a foundation for a relationship. It is a prison. If this resonates, hit subscribe, not because you need another channel in your feed, but because you need a reminder that obsession is not intimacy, and you deserve more than a prison disguised as passion. So what causes limerence? Why does the brain do this? The answer lies in uncertainty. When you are in a state of limerence, the other person's feelings are unclear. They send mixed signals. One day they're warm, the next day they're cold. One text gives you hope, one silence sends you into despair. This unpredictability is not a bug, it is the engine. Your brain becomes addicted to the uncertainty. It's the same mechanism that makes gambling addictive. A slot machine that paid out every time would be boring. A slot machine that pays out randomly keeps you pulling the lever for hours. Limerence is the same. The crumbs of attention, the occasional warmth, the rare moment of hope, these intermittent rewards keep your brain hooked. Neuroscience explains this. When you receive unexpected positive feedback from the person you're obsessed with, your brain releases dopamine. That's the same neurotransmitter involved in addiction to drugs, alcohol, and gambling. Over time, your brain craves the dopamine hit. You start checking your phone constantly. You replay conversations looking for hidden meaning. You analyze every word for signs of hope. You are not in love. You are in withdrawal. and the only thing that can end the withdrawal is either full reciprocation, which rarely happens, or complete rejection, which feels like death but is actually freedom. This is the cruel irony of limerence. The state cannot sustain itself forever. It either fades on its own, usually after several months or a few years, or it transforms into something else. Sometimes it transforms into a real relationship, but more often it transforms into resentment, or exhaustion, or depression. Because you can't build a life on a foundation of obsession. You can't grow while you're standing still, waiting for a text, hoping for a sign, praying that today will be the day they finally choose you. So how do you break free? How do you escape the prison of limerence? First, you name it. You call it what it is. This is not love. Love is mutual. Love is reciprocal. Love is two people choosing each other consistently over time. Limerence is one person performing for the approval of another. It is not love, it is a fantasy, and naming it is the first step toward leaving it behind. Second, you starve it. Limerence thrives on uncertainty. It feeds on mixed signals. It grows in the space between hope and despair. To break the cycle, you need certainty. You need to know where you stand. This means you have two choices. You can confess your feelings and ask for clarity. If the person reciprocates, you can build something real. If they don't, you have your answer. The uncertainty ends. The limerence will hurt for a while, but it will begin to fade. Or, if you are not ready to confess, you can create distance. You stop checking their social media. You stop analyzing their texts. You stop waiting by the phone. You treat it like an addiction, because it is. You go no contact. You let the withdrawal happen, and you survive it. Third, you redirect the energy. This is the most important step for your growth. Limerence consumes enormous amounts of mental energy. The constant thinking, the analyzing, the hoping, the despairing. It's exhausting. But that energy is not evil. It's just misdirected. Imagine what you could build if you redirected that energy toward yourself. Imagine applying the same obsessive focus to your own goals, your own skills, your own body, your own mind. The same hours you spend thinking about them could be hours building yourself. Here's what happens when you break free from limerence. You stop checking your phone every 3 minutes. You stop rereading old conversations. You stop analyzing their social media for hidden meaning. You stop constructing fantasies about a future that will never happen. You stop abandoning yourself in the hope that someone else will save you. You stop confusing obsession with intimacy. You stop mistaking anxiety for excitement. And you start something new. You start paying attention to your own life. You start noticing the goals you abandoned while you were waiting. You start remembering who you were before you became obsessed. You start rebuilding, slowly at first, then faster. You wake up one morning and realize you haven't thought about them in hours, then days, then weeks. And the space they occupied in your mind is now filled with something real. Your work, your health, your friendships, your purpose, yourself. Limerence is not love. It is a trap. It is your brain hijacked by uncertainty, addicted to intermittent rewards, chasing a fantasy that will never satisfy you. But you are not powerless. You can name it. You can starve it. You can redirect its energy. You can turn your obsession inward and build something that will never reject you, yourself. You have spent enough time waiting for someone else to complete you. You have spent enough energy performing for approval. You have wasted enough months, maybe years, chasing a fantasy that kept you from building a reality. Today, you name it, limerence. You call it what it is. You starve it. You stop feeding the uncertainty. You redirect the energy. You take one small action toward your own life. One goal, one project, one step. Not for them, for you. Because the only person who will never leave you, the only person who will always be there, the only person worth building for is the person you see in the mirror, and that person has been waiting for you to come back. If you are ready to stop mistaking obsession for love and start building a life that doesn't depend on anyone else's attention, subscribe. Every week, we explore not just how the mind works, but how to make it work for you, not the fantasy, the reality. Thank you for listening. I will see you in the next one.